Everyone's got all these fancy methods for how to learn a language, but nobody can show me how I can actually speak the language fluently. I want a method that shows me step by step how I can become fluent in speaking the language. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Ollie Richards, and this channel is all about helping you learn a new language quickly through the power of story, so you can become fluent faster and live your best life. And the intro to this video was a comment that I received recently on a video from a chap who is getting quite exercised, because I think he's been doing a real kind of deep dive into different language learning methods. He's been following my channel, Matt's channel, really kind of trying to figure out what is the secret to language learning. And he's getting frustrated because we always tend to talk about learning a language, but it's true that there isn't a great deal of information on actually how to speak the language fluently. And so what he's saying is, well, look, I understand how I can learn the language, but I want to learn to speak, but nobody can give me this method to learn to speak. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you the brutal, harsh reality of what it takes to actually speak a language fluently. I've done this myself in many languages, and so there is something that experience brings to this topic, and I'm going to convey the most important stuff here to you in this video, so that you're going to know exactly how to take your knowledge of a language and then actually speak that language fluently, because I understand that is, for most of us, our ultimate goal. But before we get into this, we have some 30-day challenges starting on the 1st of June. It's in just a couple of days' time, and they're in 5 different languages, so I thought I would tell you about them here before we get into today's video. And so these are 30-day story learning challenges. We run these every month. They're super popular. I haven't really mentioned them much on YouTube before, but I'm trying to get into the habit of doing that in a more timely way. So the 30-day challenge is basically we take one specific topic in each language, and you do a deep dive into that topic for an entire month using the power of story. So you get to sample and experience the story learning method, which is learning through stories. You get a brand new chapter of a story every single day, along with audio, along with video lessons from a teacher. And the idea is that at the end of those 30 days, you master that topic. So they are very highly targeted at getting good at certain areas of your target language. And we have many, many hundreds of students every month. You're going to be in great company with fantastic tutors, a fantastic community. So I really hope you join us. Here are the topics for this month. In Spanish, we are looking at perfect object pronouns. In Italian, we're also looking at perfect object pronouns. And these are a big deal in both Spanish and Italian. Knowing how to refer to yourself, to different people, different objects, and they change all the time. So those are the topics for that. In French, it's the subjunctive. Subjunctive made simple. Subjunctive is not such a big deal in French compared to other Romance languages, but you do use it and you've got to get it right. And so that's the deep dive we're going to be doing in this month in French. Japanese is 101 essential verbs. So we're going to take 101 of the most important Japanese verbs, ones that people don't typically learn in their textbooks as a beginner, and you're going to come out at the end of this challenge with this really big stock of verbs that you can start to use and speak right away. And then in German, we've got declensions demystified. Obviously, German, with all its cases, the words tend to morph and change a lot. And so the aim of this challenge in German is to get you really understanding these declensions like a native speaker, so that you can upgrade your German across the board. So if you would like to check out these challenges and enroll in one or even more of them, sometimes people take 2, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. There's going to be a link in the description below. Go and click that link. That will take you to a menu page where you can see all these challenges. Remember, we start on the 1st of June, so if you would like to get involved and give it a try, then now's the time. We have there's no risk in giving these challenges a try. We have a refund policy, so if you don't get on with them for whatever reason, you can get your money back. But I think you'll find that you will really enjoy them, because we have lots of fantastic students who do, and people have really revolutionized their, it's a big word, isn't it? People have really transformed their language knowledge through these challenges. So come and join us. Link in the description below. Now, I remember many years ago when I was first learning Spanish, I was in this stage where I'd been studying with my textbooks a little bit, but I still couldn't speak fluently. And so I was thinking a lot about this topic of, well, how do I actually speak? In my case, it kind of happened naturally over time as I met people and made friends and spent more time with them. But there was one night that I remember in particular, and this night really taught me an awful lot, because this is really the most important thing about this. Is at the core of the question of how do you speak a language fluently. And I remember I was in the Canary Islands in Tenerife with some of my very good friends, and we went out one evening to this incredible bar. It was one of these amazing Spanish open-air bars by the sea, with lots of people. It was my best friend Tomas and probably 10 of his childhood friends. And so you've got to imagine the scenario that we are there, like we get there at 10 or 11 at night, and we're drinking rum and coke until like, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning. And we're with this guy and all his childhood friends who have known each other obviously all their lives. And you know, with people that you know all your life, you know, you speak fast, you've got slang that comes from like dates from when you were like 6 years old. It's fast, it's full on, and it is the most kind of authentic, challenging situation to be in when you're speaking, because you basically got this choice: am I going to sit there on the sidelines throughout this whole evening, or am I actually going to try and get involved? And so I remember I was there, and again my Spanish was getting okay at that point. I was probably at a decent intermediate level, but I made a decision: right, I'm going to get involved. I'm not going to be sidelined. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to contribute to the conversation all night. And so I talked and I listened intently, and I drank, and you know, these people were kind of very accommodating, and they were all kind of making fun of each other, making fun of me. I wasn't spared. And so, you know, 10 p.m. turned into 11 p.m. turned into 12 p.m. and I was still going, and I was really pushing myself. I think the alcohol probably helped to kind of keep focused, and well, maybe not focused, but to keep the motivation going. And you know, midnight then turned into 1 o'clock, into 2 o'clock, and there came a point where it got to like 4 in the morning, and I realized I've been speaking Spanish this entire night with these people, having an amazing time, the time of my life, but I had an absolute blazing headache from like 2 o'clock. My head was pounding, and I was kind of drinking more rum to try and solve that headache problem. And so I got to 4 o'clock in the morning, and I realized I had this intense headache, but in a part of my brain that I didn't remember feeling before. So often I would get headaches kind of like behind my eyes or up here. This was a kind of general headache across the board, and I realized that it was because I had been pushing myself with every sinew inside me to keep talking, to keep understanding, to keep trying things out, saying the wrong things they didn't understand. They would ask me to repeat. I would try it again. They'd correct me. This kind of to and fro. It's like doing battle for hours and hours on end. And that was just one night of many. And so and many of my languages that I've got to that level have gone through a similar process. Now, you don't have to be with a group of 10 people from the Canary Islands in a bar until 4 in the morning. But you do have to go through a period of speaking the language intensely. I do see language learning as basically being in 2 phases. You've got the learning phase, and then you've got the application phase. The learning phase is what you're going to hear most about on YouTube. So this is where people are talking about different methods for acquiring the language. So with story learning, for example, I will teach you how to learn a language through stories. If you follow Matt's method, he's going to teach you to do something very similar, but with TV shows and things like that. If you follow, Benny, he's going to be like, okay, speak from day one. Let's get out there and speak. It doesn't matter, really. It's almost kind of irrelevant, because the point here is, in this phase, you just got to learn the language. Right? You've got to learn words. You've got to learn verbs. You've got to figure out how the language makes sense, how the language is constructed, how to think in the language. All these things. This is the first part of the process, and you could do what some people in the immersion community do, which is just basically kind of sit in your room for 2 years and do nothing but learn, and never speak. But regardless of how you do it, there comes a point where you've got all this knowledge in your head, and you've got to learn to activate it. And activating it, for me, means actually sitting down with native speakers and speaking with them, talking with them. And this comes in many parts. It's figuring out how to express yourself. It's doing it under pressure. It's forgetting words and having to remember them. It's actually building up mouth muscles. One of the things I remember about that night in Spain was that my jaw was aching from all of that talking. So you learn and then you apply. And so if you've been learning a language for a while, and you've been really getting into methods for this, methods for that, geeking out on the idea of how does one learn a language, that's great. But you've got to stop at that point. You have to stop. That eventually runs its course, because then what you've got to do is just get out and speak it. And you've got to speak it a lot, and there is absolutely no substitute for that, I'm afraid. And whatever anybody says, whatever apps promise to help you practice your speaking, whatever textbooks say kind of, do these exercises and you will speak better, this is all in the kind of learning phase. You've got to step out of that into the reality of conversing with people and the back and forth and the bruises and the, all of this stuff. And so don't look for a method for this. There's no method. There's no method. It is hours and hours, days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months of what I used to call airtime. So actually kind of being there, speaking with people and figuring it out. There's no recipe that's going to help you here. You've just got to put in the time. Now this does present kind of a logistical challenge, and I think sometimes one of the ways that people do meet a genuine challenge in their language learning is, well, how do I do that? How do I actually spend all that time talking with people? Because this is a very practical consideration, right? I did a lot of my language learning when I was younger. I was able to travel to the country. I had lots of friends from different countries, and I had a good surroundings and good conditions for practicing those languages. So that was kind of easy for me. But in recent years, I've had to do it other ways. So things that you can do would include finding community in your local area where you can hang out with. Nate from this, I did a great breakdown video of Nate and how he learned Spanish in his local community. You can find language exchange partners, either face-to-face or online, and meet with them regularly. This is what I did in Japan, because I couldn't get Japanese speaking practice in Japan. It's the weirdest thing. So I ended up doing an absolute shed load of language exchanges with people just to get that opportunity to speak for hours and hours and hours. You can go on italki or Verbling or whatever new service there is these days, and just take lessons every day. But it's really important to understand that the solutions to your desire to speak a language fluently are not going to lie on YouTube. They're not going to lie in a textbook. They're not going to lie even in a method. It's going to lie on you simply getting out there and finding a way to spend lots and lots of time speaking with people. And anyone that tells you anything else is doing you a huge disservice. We all want to believe there's a secret. We all want to believe that there is a hack. But the secret to speaking fluently is, my friend, speaking and doing an awful lot of it. So hopefully this motivates you to actually realize this is what I need to do. And although finding the circumstances to actually do that is not necessarily easy, do that you must. So I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in this month's 30-day challenge. Just a quick reminder of the topics we've got: in Spanish and Italian, perfect object pronouns; French, subjunctive made simple; Japanese, 101 essential verbs; and German, declension demystified. Click the link in the description below to check those out, and I'll see you back in the next video. Cheers.